If you're up, Brett Pritchard, I don't hear you, my friend. I can't hear you. I don't. You think it's on my end? Mm-mm. I'm not getting any audio from you.
What about now?
Mm-mm.
Really?
Doesn't mean it's not coming through. It could be on my end. Kind of hard for me to tell.
They can't hear me either.
Hey,
So
Justin, anybody that's tuning in out there, we're a couple of minutes from going on air with television. Can you
my
let me
mic's
know if
up.
you're hearing me or if you're hearing
No,
Brett?
you're hearing you.
They're hearing me.
Yeah, and then Ryan just said he can hear both of us.
Okay, as long as you're hearing me, thank
Okay,
y'all.
they got me now. They got me now.
All right, good.
We're
So
good.
yeah,
Can
we're
you hear
trying
me?
to get a couple of technical difficulties straightened up right now. Brett's live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill.
Yep.
Hear both of us now, Brett. I still don't hear you though. I
You
can't
don't hear
hear
me.
anything. I can't hear anything from you. No,
Yeah, okay, Justin can hear, so it must be on your end, Randy.
I can't hear you. You want me to? I may. Can you hear me, Brett? Okay,
Yes.
I can't hear you. Do you want me to go out
Get
and then
out.
come
Yeah,
back
get out.
in? Okay.
Yes, yes. All right, is everybody good? They can hear what I'm saying? Kind of important, right? I guess. Maybe you don't want to hear me. So yeah, I'm glad. Thank y'all, Tubbs, Justin, appreciate it. I'm my mic's good. I mean, I don't know what was going on with Randy's mic, so have anything to do with what I'm doing. So let's try this again.
No, I've got you now, Brett
You can hear
Pritchard.
me now.
I
All
can
right,
hear
how about that?
you. Yeah.
Maybe you didn't want to hear me. So
Well, there's been a couple of programs here lately. I didn't want to hear you, but actually, right now, I want to hear you. This is a topic I think, for the most part, you and I can agree with that we're going through today.
yeah, and let me we'll remind everybody it's an Auburn show, so we're going to give you the Auburn. So Auburn just picked up another tight end. It's a big get from Bowling Green and Florida. So I'll talk about that. I just posted that out as well. Obviously, the big headline in the state right now is the AHSA reclassification. I've been on 3 shows already in the last hour. Talk about this, and look, there's mixed reviews on it. Let's see where we are. 30 seconds, Ryan. I think I missed that, so I think we're up now. So I'm going to bring us in, and I think we had to work that technical difficulty out. Welcome in, everybody, to the Auburn Blitz here. I'm live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. We are so thankful for JR's Sports Bar and Grill, but our program each and every day is brought to you by J.E. Smith Construction and Excavation and Sensagreen for air that I guess now is warm and clean instead of cool and clean. Call them Sensagreen. They are the carrier dealers here in the state of Alabama. Randy, good to see you. Perfect timing. They had the HSA reclassification that went on about an hour and a half ago, and somehow I squeezed in 3 radio shows and took a shower all at the same time to get up here to JR's to get this show going. But big news for Auburn as well. They had player number 39 out of the portal. 39. And they pick up a tight end from Florida and Bowling Green. He was last at Bowling Green, but Arliss Boardingham, big time guy for Auburn to pick up. And look, man, I am all ecstatic about what we're seeing with this tight end room at Auburn, Randy. And Alex Golish is a tight end coach,
Yep.
and you bring in a head football coach that was also specializing in tight end. Hey, Auburn may actually make tight ends great again. I'm gonna get. Can you make a shirt? Can you,
Oh yeah,
can you put those up?
that's where I am currently, and that is what I do for an actual living. It's not necessarily to tell you when you're right or wrong, Brett. It is
Not that I care anyway, but
it is printing. It's printing T-shirts and printing signage down here in Dayville. But good to see you, Brett. I want to say this from the Auburn standpoint, and we'll do a couple of segments on the HSA also. hang in there with us.
Yeah,
Brett
just
and I,
stay with us. Just stay with us.
Brett and I known as the high school guys, and very, very proud to be known as the high school guys here in this state. So there's no way, I don't care what kind of program we're on, that we're not going to do a couple of segments on that. But I want to stay with Auburn. I touched your nerve yesterday. I touched a couple of nerves yesterday. I saw on the message boards with my thoughts around Golish and the willingness to have dead money in recruiting high school. I don't want to go into that. What I do want to go into is how excited I am with this team for next year that we're putting together.
Right.
And why is that? The reason I'm thrilled about it is we've got a lot of guys on this team on the lines of scrimmage that have taken an awful lot of snaps, Brett. We're old. We're old on the lines of scrimmage. And does that mean you're overly talented? No. Does that mean that all of them are going to pan out? No. But it does give us a great chance that when you go out there and you turn the film on, Brett, and you see someone that has taken upwards of 1,500 to 2,000 snaps in their career over a 2 or 3 year span at Michigan State and South Florida and some other teams, then dude, you know what you chose. You know their strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
The high school ranks is hard to know if you're right or wrong sometimes. Now, the great evaluators can get that right, but even then, they miss it sometimes.
Yeah,
but, dude, you turn on 3 or 4 years worth of college film, Brett, it's pretty clear who you are. Now, can you develop them up and make them better? I.e., Denver Jones and Chaney Johnson, and I'm talking about our basketball program. Sure, you can. You know, that's the reason that you pay these coaches the money that you pay them. But man, I'm quietly, I'm not trying to be a little too exorbitant about this, but I'm thrilled with the direction that Golish and this staff's going with this group that he's putting together in year one. And you add a quarterback in the mix that has a chance to be a very good player, you could have a great year next year. And don't think you would, and you wouldn't be the first team to do it, by the way.
Oh, no, you're right. And, you know, again, Gary asked me this morning on his show, and I gave my take, and he said, look, man, I agree 100%. I went through the list of teams, Ole Miss, LSU, Auburn, Oklahoma State, Penn State, the ones like Auburn's up to 39 now players.
What you did yesterday.
Yeah, exactly what I did yesterday. And he said, look, man, that's totally spot on, because they had a caller. Tom always likes to call when I'm on there. I think maybe the lone Auburn guy in Tuscaloosa. But he I guess I'm his relief there. But anyway, he just wanted to ask my opinion if I thought Alex Golish was following the Vanderbilt model of what. And I said, and Gary and I both said, no, I don't think so. I think it changes year to year. I think depending on where your program is and what you lost versus what you're getting in and developing depends on what you go get in the portal. I think that'll change every year. There's not a set pattern to that. But the Vanderbilts have 15 players out of the portal, Georgia 9, Oklahoma 15. You know, teams that had a better, more consistent year, they don't have to go get guys because they're in a program, or their players are in a program where they go, hey, I like where I'm at. Why would I leave this? We're competing at the highest level. Now, Auburn, Ole Miss is different because Ole Miss had a mass exodus, and they were a circus because of Lane Kiffin. But, you know, LSU lost a coach. Ole Miss lost their coach, even though he just went to LSU. Florida, same thing. Auburn, several teams had to get coaches. Arkansas, those teams have had massive portal hauls because they had to, because they had large groups of guys leave. I hope we get our program to the point where you're not having to get but 15 or 20 maybe max every year, because you're building some things, and then you get whatever number of high school players you feel comfortable getting, and being very selective in which ones you get. You add them into the mix, and then that's how you build your team every year.
It's a moving cycle when you're talking about college athletics. What I say to you today that I would do, it's the point I was making to y'all yesterday. You know, I'm kind of mad at myself that I got y'all as upset as I did when I look back on it, because I'm not sure that I communicated it well. But what I was trying to say is, whatever I say now, I could say something totally opposite.
100%. 100%.
And right now, sitting where I am currently as an Auburn fan, based on the new coach and stuff coming in, The idea that I'm going to spend 7 figures on developing a quarterback that may end up somewhere else is mind-numbing.
Hey, Randy, the best example right now is what's going on with Charles Bediako. Hell, the whole scope of who you go get from now on may be dependent on this ruling that's coming down. And you know what college basketball teams might start doing? They might go, I tell you what, we're going to go see how many guys we got that have moved on that have eligibility left. We're going to pull them back out of the G League, and then we'll go fill the rest of our roster with, a portal guy or a high school guy. I'm going to tell you what it is doing, and you're right about this part, is that the law of diminishing returns is on these high school kids.
I hate it for them.
It's where we are, man. But when you start having college athletics as a big, massive business like this, and everything is looked at as transactional, and like Stephen Pearl said yesterday, there's so much pressure to win basketball games. You see coaches going, hell, I got to go do what I got to do to win these games. That's why you get what you get now.
Oh, and do I like it? I despise it. Brett and I are going to do 2 segments here to talk about the HSA shortly. I love it. I love Auburn athletics, but I don't love it anywhere near to the level that I do high school athletics, because that's where Brett and I put so much of our time for so very long. And I truly do care about those 16, 17, 18-year-olds, that they get opportunities that we've given in the past. But I think the direction that we're going, you're just throwing a lot of that away. And let's just take football out of the mix, man. The way that football is going in the college ranks is going to kill a lot of these high school athletes when it comes to what is my potential of moving on to the college ranks with a scholarship opportunity to run track, to play soccer, to wrestle in the few wrestling programs that are left around. I'm keep going down the list. Any of the Olympic style sports, swimming, sports that don't generate money. And we beat this like a dead horse, but it's decisions like this that go directly towards that. Because once you start appeasing people, we're in, this is one of my son's vocabulary words this morning. So I've actually used appeasement 3 or 4 times. You ever do that, Brett, where a word is brought up to you and you're like, man, I like that word. I think I'm going to keep using that.
And you figure out a way to work it in your vocabulary.
I've worked appeasement in 3 or 4 times today. But we're just appeasing people, man. It's like you ask for something. Well, hell, I can't win it in the court of law, so I'm just going to appease you by saying, until someone comes and tells me that you can't do that, I'm going to say that you can. Well, what do the coaches do? The coaches must compete. They're paid to win. So if it means going back and finding where the hell Austin Wiley is, playing center at Auburn, if he's got any time left to come back to Auburn, if you want to win basketball games, that's what you're going to be
does it make you have to do? And even though, like, we got Alabama friends that are like, hey, I'll take Charles Bediako, but I'd rather not. Yeah. I'd rather nobody do this. But didn't it make you feel dirty a little bit? Didn't it make you feel weird? I thought Stephen Pearl had a great answer at his press conference yesterday where he said, if I go get Sharif, I got to go tell Tahad and his dad, hey, he ain't going to play as much now. I got to go tell Sway and his parents, hey, if I bring Jabari Smith back, you probably ain't going to play very much anymore the rest of this season. Like, there's a part of him, he goes, that says, man, that's just not right, man.
Well, I want you to think about this, and I'll do a tremendous segue to the HSA for you. Everything that just exited your mouth in the last 2 minutes is exactly what's going on in the high school ranks.
100%.
The reason that we are in the situation that we're in today with high school athletics is exactly what Brett just said. There are things that go on around this state that make me feel dirty. They're not the way that things were run 30 plus years ago, but they are what they are. And if you want to compete and you want to win, unfortunately, you have to say, I'm going to embrace that. Do I like it? Absolutely not. But I'm going to embrace it because that's the direction that it's going. So now we're sitting here, and the public and private conversations that we're about to have in the split that's going on with the HSA, completely around what Brett just said. All of it. Because we wouldn't be having this conversation if there weren't 34 transfers going to a said program and winning a state championship in football that was at a different school the year before. 34. Brett and I had a championship game a few years ago.
Yep.
Not going to say the team. Like, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, people go, well, I don't know if it's on the up and up, but all I know is I don't like it. Okay, well, then all of the public side that has always pointed to the private side, Brett, and said the same thing, then you get in a massive conflict, and the only option you got is like, okay, what do you want over here? Oh, I hear you. No, at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to see it split, but no. You've complained enough that now we've got to split this thing apart.
And now you don't like that either. So, I mean, we got to get the TV break. Again, we appreciate everybody tuning us in. We're just getting started here live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. We'll be back in just a minute. So we can talk through this during the break too, and because we'll maximize our amount of time on here today. So everybody, Justin said that Bruce made a good point on Dari's show yesterday. Congress has to back the NCAA, or they can't. So they can't. If they can't, the colleges have no form to form their own organizational. Here's what I told Gary on this show.
I agree.
Here's what you've done. Where used to, when you played a sport and you made the decision to take the leap to go play professional football or baseball or basketball or whatever, when you crossed that line, there was no coming back, right? Now you're just giving, like, the players were already getting a majority of the power, but now you've given it all to them, because now if you're Ty Simpson, you go, well, I'm going to go and get in the draft. I've got this offer sitting over here on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to the draft. I don't get what I want. I'm just going to come back and take one of those offers. Now, here's the caveat, and I told you about this yesterday. What's the NFL and NBA going to do when they use their draft pick and they pick this guy, and then the draft's over, and he pops out and goes back to college?
Great question.
They've lost a draft pick.
Yes.
So they've got to stand up at some point and go, we ain't doing this no more, man. When you get in the draft, damn it, I'm going to sue you. You drop out.
Somebody's got to stand up all the way around and come up with, just use some basic common sense. And it can't be as difficult as.
Why is everybody scared to make a law to govern college athletics? Is there an answer out there for that?
Well,
who's scared? Who is so terrified of trying to create some rules and regulations to govern college athletics? It's like nobody wants to touch this.
It can't. Here, look, as crazy as it may sound, I took Bediako's side of the story yesterday. Let me present this to all of you again. Because the rules can't change on a whim. If it's an ever-changing rule book, Brett, then the decisions that these guys that are in college are making today may cost them an awful lot of money a year from now.
Right.
And you take that kid. What's he worth on the open market in college basketball right now? $2 million?
Probably.
Auburn and Alabama would pay $2 million for a post player like him right now.
Oh, yeah.
You think he's making $2 million where he is? Hell no. He's not making close to $2 million. He might be making a couple $100,000 where he is. So their value has changed. If you take the individual into the mix, you're like, this is not fair. It's not fair by me that I didn't have the option here. And so until they get in a room and say, here's the way that we're going to play this for this period of time, because it can't change every year. But for this period of time, you make decisions around this set of rules, because then it would be fair by the kid that's making the decision at 20 years old, making a massive decision in his life. And it would be fair by the teams and everyone else to not have to go, okay, I've been recruiting these high school kids. I want 4 of them this next year. Oh, but this Bediako thing's going on. So forget 3 of them. I'm going to have to call 3 of them. I'm going to have to call 3 of them back, like Brett said, and say, your offer's not, we can't offer you that scholarship.
You don't have an offer anymore.
Because we're going to go get Austin Wiley, and we're going to go get, and I know it's not,
it's just wrong, man. It's wrong.
I know it is.
Like, we're not teaching anybody that there's consequences to decisions. Hey, look, man, you ain't got to go pro. Hell, if you got eligibility, stay and use it all up, okay? But
but their problem now. Make sure you hear that.
I understand where you're about to go with it. I know
they couldn't. The decision they made, they didn't have this option.
I know.
Trust me, Brett.
They shouldn't have the option. They shouldn't have the option.
If Austin Wiley, who's playing overseas, I don't know what he makes. Let's just say he makes $500,000 a year. I hope he does. Maybe more than that. But he's worth $2.5 million a year at Auburn.
Yep.
Dude, it's an easy decision. But when you don't give those kids that decision, then of course their decision would change. And I don't blame them for that, man. They're just trying to better themselves.
Nobody's blaming the kids for playing the game. What we're saying is that you gotta for the integrity of everything involved, for the pro side and the college side, you gotta quit the flip flopping, man.
And the high school.
Yeah. I mean the whole umbrella. It quit saying, okay, I'm gonna hold everybody hostage till I decide on what I want to do.
It's a moving target.
The world don't work that way, man. It just don't. And again, when you allow it to go on, they're going to take advantage of it just like we would.
Yes.
You know, until you give somebody some type of something to adhere to, they're going to do it. All right, we got about 20 seconds. We'll be back for TV. Just make a rule. Just make a rule.
Well, it's like today, the one where you're about to go now.
Yep.
Just tell us what it is and live with it.
Yep. We got 10 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Auburn Blitz. 45 minutes left on the show today. We're so glad that you joined us. I am live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. The food is phenomenal. If you've never been to JR's in downtown Allen City, I'm sorry. That's all I can tell you. You can make up for that by coming down here. They got great chicken fingers, wings, quesadillas, burgers, salads. They got everything you want. And they've been partnered with us for a long time, over 20 years. And really appreciate all they've done for us and what they do for the local communities and all. So our program brought to you by J.A. Smith Construction and Excavation. No job too big or too small, residential or commercial. They do all your pre-site prep work to get you ready to do whatever project you need. Call on J.A. Smith today. And Sensor Green Fair that's cool and warm and clean. Call on Sensor Green. They are the carrier dealers here in the state of Alabama. Proud supporters of Auburn Athletics and the Auburn Blitz podcast here and show. Yeah, a lot to dive into on this HSA thing. We do know this is a Auburn show, and we talked about the new tight end that Auburn just got. To add to the list is 39 players in the portal now for Auburn. Auburn's got a big basketball game coming up tomorrow with Florida. Kyle was on with me this morning. Faith off today. It's her birthday today. So, again, said happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday, yep.
So, happy birthday to Faith. Hope you enjoy your day off. But, again, going back to what we want to talk about here in the next couple segments, and we want everybody to jump in. This affects college, too. Okay? This affects everything, and it is the storyline today here in the state of Alabama with the HSA reclassification. And just to kind of sum things up, I'll give everybody that's watching this that hasn't heard anything just the skinny on this thing. They took one class away from public schools, so it went from 7 classifications to 6 classifications. The private and the public schools can still play each other in the regular season, but coming to postseason play, the private schools now have 2 divisions. They have a 1A and a 2A, a single A, double A is what they call it. And those teams will break out and they will have their own championship games, still part of the Super 7. I guess it'll be Super 8 now. So all that's got to change because you take one public school class championship away and you add 2 private school championships. So it is going to, you take one and add one, so you come to 8 championships there, and they will be on the University of South Alabama's campus that's coming up here. The top classification in public, which is now 6A, has 32 teams. They are still looking at some things with that classification on how they want to handle postseason, but they took the other 5 classifications and just divided them up evenly. Okay, 5A through 1A. And look, my phone has melted today with all of the people calling pro, for, against, not happy, whatever, for both sides, public and private. And so, Randy, you kind of laid the groundwork of how we got here. It had to do with the Choose Act. It had to do with the multiplier. It had to do with the competitive balance. Well, now the private schools don't have any of that. They don't have to worry about. They are in a classification based on true enrollment number. There is no competitive balance anymore. If you win 5 state championships or 2 state championships, you jump up a classification. You can win 100 in a row and never move. So you and I both know there were some private school people, depending on where they were, that did not like this split, because they came to the HSA to compete at the highest level. And they're saying, some of them, not all, some of them are saying, now you're pulling us out, putting us over here. We get to play all these teams during the regular season, and now we're grouped over here in a much lesser group of teams, and it's going to water down the playoff. There's no perfect answer for any of this stuff, man. There's not.
No, there's not. And a great job right there, Brett, breaking that down, because that is a lot to fill into a few minutes of explanation. So let's just hit on maybe some of the high points is the reason that I think that we're here. One, Brett and I beat this like a dead horse, but we're living in a transient society where families are moving all over the place, and they're looking for the best options that they can get for their kids. Some of that may be athletics, some may be academics, some may be a great band program. I mean, there's several band programs in this state that if you want to be in one of the top ones, Brett and I know who they are. Yeah, I mean, the people in the state that live in those areas, they know exactly who they are. So this is not just athletics, but here in this reclassification deal, part of the problem that the private schools had, and I agreed with, was back in the day, they're working off a multiplier, which was 1.35. And the reason for that 1.35 was there was a study done by Dan Washburn and his staff with the HSA. And what they found was 35% more of the students competed in athletic events from a private school than a public. So they came up with that multiplier to say, to make that even, we're going to put a 1.35 multiplier on you. I.e., if you've got 100 enrollment, you're really playing at 135. And if that 135 pushes you up a class, then so be it. And that's what we've been in for a while. Now, also, several years ago, they went into the competitive balance. And that was for programs that are having extreme success. And I think that there's a lot of programs, but probably the best program to point to there was Bayside Academy down in the Fairhope area. Bayside had won 20-plus state championships in volleyball, an amazing program that was built. And the point by the HSA was, with the private school, of course, anyone down there that's looking for the very best volleyball program they can look to put their kid through, why in the heck wouldn't you choose that? And the coach at Bayside Academy, Brett's been down. We've covered that program. It's an amazing program. And so they move all the
balls right there, Randy. We're
yeah,
up against
sure.
a hard break.
Okay.
TV, just keep your thought process there. We are live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill, and we'll be back with more of the Auburn Blitz right after this.
So of course, that program's won so much since that that competitive balance went in, Brett, that they're 7A. And they're still extremely competitive at that level. Look, we had a boys soccer program in Montgomery Academy this past year that won 7A. That is really probably a 2A enrollment school, because the multiplier has them in 3A. But they move all the way up, and they beat a team that hadn't lost a soccer match in a couple of years in Oak Mountain. So amazing programs. My point is that, and I see Ed, and I just wanted to finish with this.
Yeah.
Things have changed a lot. We've got some public schools in this state, especially city-run public schools in this state, that have amazing facilities, amazing coaches. And if you're someone that's saying, I've got this great talented kid, and who do I want to help raise them, and what program and what facilities do I want? Well, there are city programs out there that are just as competitive as any private school, if not more, because they've got a lot of funding to build up these great facilities. And so, Brett, we've seen it. I've seen it firsthand over the last 15 years, going down to South Alabama and losing some football games that we were never happy to lose, to some teams that we knew had clusters of kids show up at their program. Some years it may be 5, others may be 10, that made those public schools a lot better than what they really would have been. And the private schools down there were going, okay, hold up. And we got a very good friend of mine and yours and Rick Cleveland. Let's go, hold up, Brett. Hold up, Randy. I hear you. UMS Wright does get some kids that move in there that are great players. But are you kidding? You think Spanish Fort and Saraland and Gulf Shores and Orange Beach aren't having kids move into their program? So what has happened is we've become very combative both ways.
Oh yeah.
With what's right. And what happened with that at the end of the day, and you had to throw a political issue like the CHOOSE Act into the middle of it, where the legislature has an opportunity to stand up on their
soapbox. We all can
soapbox.
agree that we don't want them involved.
Yeah, well, but they are involved, and part of it was very political with that. And you add all of these dynamics into the mix, and you
Well, at
end
least
up
they
where
didn't
we
create a
were.
board of control. Like that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. Like the CHOOSE Act, nothing you can do about. But what nobody wanted, private or public, was the legislature assuming control of the HSA and running it. Who thinks that's a good idea? Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you got plenty of other things that you need to be worried about, not the day-to-day operations of how you're going to manage high school athletics. And I don't know that anybody had any confidence that it would have been done correctly. If you think it was done wrong now, just wait and give it to them and see how bad they can take it to another level. I mean, I haven't heard anybody that agreed with it.
Ed's got great points here, and let me read this off. And Brett, just stop me when you want to come back from break. But, Brett, is it true that if the public schools would have agreed to competitive balance, same as the private schools would have stayed, such as Fife wins 8 straight football championships, should move up a classification? It's all. There's probably
I answer that. I know the answer to that question.
Answer it.
Public schools were not ever going to do that. We got 30 seconds.
Okay, buddy.
TV.
All right.
Good
question, Ed.
The public schools were never going to adhere to competitive balance. I was told that verbatim from a very, very reliable source. That was brought up, and they said, doesn't matter. We're not conceding that. So that was one of the sticky wicket points that they said, y'all can come up with some other things, but we ain't budging on that.
So at the end of the day, it's just too many things to get this to work.
5 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Auburn Blitz. Halfway through our show, I'm live on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Come out and check out JR's. The food is phenomenal. They've been part of our program for so long and support us. We owe a lot to them, and they help us with everything that we do. So we appreciate them. So glad to be here every once a month for our Auburn Blitz show. We do our Late March Sports Roundup show here every week. I'm here for that. But our program, again, brought to you by J. Smith Construction, Excavation, and Sensa Green. But halfway through the show means it's time for Pepper Tree. Pepper Tree Steaks and Lime. We were over there at Pepper Tree yesterday, Randy. I don't know if you caught the show or not.
I did.
But our good buddy Jeff back there, I was the benefactor of it being Faith's birthday. They felt sorry for me, so they brought me some food too. So I appreciate that, Jeff. But Jeff cooked up another filet. I'm telling you, man, it's just the man can cook, dude. That's all I'm telling everybody. I can keep eating and telling all y'all that, but you need to go figure it out for yourself. But the twice baked potato, the casseroles they had tuna fillets in there. They're as pretty as they look like they just came off the boat. So go check out Pepper Tree in Auburn and Montgomery. Randy loves them. I love them. I've spoiled my family. I can't order food from anywhere else because if I don't bring Pepper Tree in for holidays, they just tell me to leave. I just piss everybody off. So, all right. Again, here at JR's, glad to be here. Randy, let's continue talking about what's going on here in the state of Alabama. It's a monumental day. I have had some people go, well, that really was a big bunch of nothing. And I can kind of see that to an extent. It's pretty big that you split the privates away in a championship environment. And I'm going to read these off real quick because I've had multiple texts here in the last 10 minutes. What is it? What are the private school classifications? What do they look like? Well, there are only 2 regions in the AA classification for private school. In Region 1, it's Faith Academy, Glenwood, Houston Academy, McGill, Tulane. I mean, you're already seeing a discrepancy in size here, man. Like, massively.
Well, hey, let me just add to that and then finish it out. the top 4 schools had an enrollment with the multiplier at 500 plus. The 16th school in the state, because there was 44 playing football, was Bayside. They were at 220. So there's your discrepancy, Brett. It's half. But it's the same as 6A. It's really, when you get down to it, let's say it's 120% difference.
Yeah.
Which is what 7A was to 6A. It's probably about the same as you got there. Now, that you can say that the difference between 2,400 down to 1,100 in comparison to 500 down to 220 is a massive difference. So
I'll let you address Dean's comment there, Brandy, on that.
well, yeah, no, I agree. It has nothing to do with the band or other non.
I think you were just trying to compare, like, if you are a good band student, you were just trying to say you're going to go to the best program. That, you know, there's other things other than athletics that take pride in, like, hey, we want to be really good here in cheerleading, or we want to be really good here in the band. I think that's what you were saying. Not
no, I was trying to be nice, Dean. I was doing my best.
PC.
I was trying to be politically correct. That people do, though. Let's bring up 2 that I know of: Minor High School and Homewood High School, 2 of the very best bands in the country. Anyone that knows that, well, I mean, if band's important to you and you live in close to those communities, and that's something that, now, is it what we're talking about today? No, but my point is there's a lot of movement that didn't go on when you and I were in school, Dean, as comparison to now. Now people will make a decision to move their kids around, whereas when Brett and I were growing up in Elliott City, we were going to Ben Russell. There wasn't like there was a discussion internally where you're going, oh, okay, I might need to look around and see where else I can go to better my kid. No, but I think that goes on. I think most of it is athletic, but there's an awful lot that go on from an academic standpoint based off of maybe how many kids score 30 plus on their ACT, and also just great programs that maybe far exceed the competitors out there. I'm sorry.
No. I think both of you are hitting the same thing. I think he's just making a mention that, hey, look, it really boils down to
I agree.
The athletic side, and you were just trying to make a comment about, hey, there are other programs outside of sports that kids will move to because those schools
how great they are. Yes.
How good they are. All right, so getting back to this, the AA classification of private school, I'll go back and start. Faith Academy, Glenwood, Houston Academy, McGill, Montgomery Catholic, St. Michael, St. Paul's, and UMS Wright. So that is a pretty
That is what you call brutal.
That is
there is not a single off week. I'm just talking about football.
Well, let's look at it. Glenwood's just came over to HSA, so they ain't been here but a couple of years.
No.
Faith has played for one. Houston Academy has played for one. McGill's played for a bunch. Montgomery Catholic, they just won 800.
Yes.
St. Michael has got Phillip Rivers and 800 kids down there for the next 800 years. St. Paul's, they had to go to competitive.
10 years ago, they were.
Yeah.
Probably you could argue they were the best program.
And then you got UMS Wright. Every one of them has been to championship games multiple times, except for Glenwood.
That is brutal. Now go to the next one because I haven't looked at these, bro.
Okay, so the other region in AA is American Christian, Briarwood Christian, John Carroll, Lee Scott Madison Academy, Randolph School,
which is a super school. I made 2 posts on them yesterday, by the way.
St. John Paul, which we were at. We did it on the road at St. John Paul in the fall for the game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got, who is it? Man, my mind the basketball coach won all the state championships in girls. Tim Miller.
Oh, Tim Miller, yeah.
Tim Miller's the AD there.
Okay.
So you think they're going to lose for a long time? No. And then Westminster Christian.
Every single one of those, Brett and I have called in a major championship sport in the last decade. And,
all right. So,
the point that first off, I'll say this. I didn't grow up in a private school, but if you're worrying about whether you've got competition, Lord help, find something else to worry about. Because if you're playing in either of those 2 regions and you're trying to win, buddy, good luck trying to win. I'm talking about any of those programs
Yeah.
because I don't look at any single program out of the 16 you just ran off and go, that team right there is going to win all of these. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not
No,
going to win all of
you don't. I don't know that you know who's going to win.
No, I agree. Now, what the point that you made,
let me get the break because I'm getting.
Okay.
I get a whip over here. They whip me pretty bad in the studio if I don't get the break. We'll go to break, come back. Still got a couple segments for TV right after this.
But the smaller end of those regions, like the Glenwoods and Lee Scotts, I don't.
Yeah.
Do you see the enrollment number?
I'm really surprised that Glenwood and Lee Scott are in the same region. But I guess they had to divide it up what they felt.
They had to divide it somewhere.
Jamie just said the travel for Glenwood's going to be horrible.
Oh, brutal.
Every one of those teams are in South Alabama, man. Like Mobile.
Do you have enrollment numbers there, Brett?
I don't have I haven't seen numbers yet. So I don't. That's the thing. I want to see where the cutoff is for all of these classifications.
My guess is that top class.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you though, Randy, not to cut you off. That ain't a good draw for Glenwood, man. They are over there close to Phoenix City, and they got to drive. Like, hold on just a minute now. Let me go back. Let me read that again. That's terrible. Faith Academy. Okay, Houston Academy's over in Dothan.
In Dothan, still a long trip.
McGill, Tulane, St. Michael, St. Paul's, and UMS Wright. And Glenwood gets stuck in that region? That's not a good draw. It's just not. But, it ain't a very good draw for a lot of Region 2 spread out from St. John Paul to Westminster to Madison Academy all the way up in Huntsville. And then, these are, I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is there. But there's only 2 regions in AA. There are 4 regions in single A. 2 of those schools didn't leave because of competition. They left because of travel. Well, there you go, Jeff. Right back to the drawing board. That's a brutal travel schedule.
Oh, that's
to be honest about it. Hey, and I look over at Lee Scott, and hey, they go from one end of the state to the other. They go to Madison Academy, and then they have to turn around.
That is a 4.5. That's at least a 4-hour trip, right at a 4-hour trip, isn't it? 3.5, 4 hours up to Madison Academy.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm looking at. So, when I look at this, you got Lee Scott, Madison Academy, St. John Paul, which is way up north, Briarwood, American Christians is that Tuscaloosa?
Yes.
American Christian. And then Jeff said 2 of those schools, and I think he's referring to Lee Scott and Glenwood, left because of travel problems, and now they got big travel problems based off what I'm looking at.
Jeff, by the way, we got Jeff Hines here, and glad to have Jeff here because he's helping run an outstanding athletic department of Chambers Academy. I got a question, Jeff. What do you do if you're Lee Scott and Glenwood now, if you're going to stay with this, and you're trying to compete with Briarwood that's double your size? Do you have a choice but to try to grow with them?
St. Paul's, man. What about them?
Well, they're probably about the same size.
That's what I'm saying.
What do you do?
We were down there in the fall.
So let's say those 2 schools have an enrollment in the top 3 of 550 to 600. And let's say, I don't know the numbers for Lee Scott and Glenwood, but let's just say theirs is 300. Do you try to take more students? And then here's the problem. It's not a city system.
Do you have the facilities and the faculty to take more?
And the funding to take more. The funding also to take more because you're not, a lot of these private schools have good facilities, but they don't have these city facilities that we're seeing at Thompson and Ben Russell now, and just keep going down the list because you don't have city funding to go build these facilities. And a lot of them are older, Brett. They do the best they can, but
there's
so many things that come into play here that you didn't think about before it actually happened.
Yeah, see, when you got a chance to take a step back and look, you do look. I got 30 seconds coming back. Okay. Well, by the way,
do you grow, Brett? Are you forced to try to grow?
I don't know that you can in some of these places, not to the level because of resources and stuff, man. It's not just, oh, we won't take 150 more kids. It ain't that simple.
Yeah.
And like Justin said, McGill is massive. They were the largest private school anyway.
I think so too, Jeff. I mean,
welcome back to the Auburn Blitz. And if you're tuning in, yeah, we had a monumental day with HSA. We did talk first couple segments about Auburn, and we will go in the last segment talk about Auburn basketball tomorrow against Florida. Let me finish up here. We got a lot of comments coming in. We can stay up for a little while after the show for the HSA stuff. We want to continue to talk about it because I got people texting. My phone's exploded. The whole battery melted out.
I'll stay with you.
So there's 4 regions in the private school single A division. Region 1 is Bayshore Christian, Bayside, Cottage Hill, Mobile Christian, Northside Methodist, Providence Christian, and St. Luke's. Region 2 is Alabama Christian, Fort Dale Academy, Pike Lib, Prattville Christian, St. James, Montgomery Academy, and Trinity Presbyterian. Region 3 is Otaga Academy, Elwood Christian, Holy Spirit Catholic School, Pickens Academy, the Donahoe School, Tuscaloosa Academy, Victory Christian. And then Region 4 is Coosa Christian, who is just absolutely dominant in football. Decatur Heritage, Lindsay Lane Christian. I've never even heard of them. Have you heard of Lindsay?
I do because I make a lot of posts on them.
Yeah, you would on that. But Mars Hill, Shoals Christian, Westbrook Christian, and Whitesburg Christian. I'm sorry.
And Brett, where you hear of a lot of these schools is of a lot of the football. Yeah. Because that's what we cover on our media outlets. But when you roll off those names, if you do the posting I do, you know how good they are in certain sports.
Oh, and I can imagine.
Like softball and baseball, and basketball, and some of those sports, man, that's what they lean into. And
I do want to fast forward real quick before we get off this, and we'll take over some after we get off for TV. I do want to hit up a couple of things and get your take on it in the public side of things. There's only 6 classifications now. If you take these privates out, we'll go down to the 5A classification. 6A's got 32 teams. We already know. We do have some different region splits now. I'll start with Benjamin Russell's because we cover them. Benjamin Russell's pretty much grouped in there with a bunch of Montgomery teams and Rehoboth. Now, years ago, we got in that row. Poor Rehoboth, though, man. Think about them.
Like, they got to travel to all of them.
They're in a place where there's no schools that are even close to their size. So they get stuck in a region with us, Park Crossing, Percy Julian, Pike Road, Russell County, Stanhope, and Wetumpka. Every trip they make's north for 2 hours at minimum. So it's not bad for Benjamin Russell. All they have to do is travel to Montgomery, and the Montgomery there, but you got the one outlier. Then you got the Region 6, Clay Chalkville, Douglas High School. You familiar with Douglas High School?
No.
I'd never heard of it, to be honest with you. Crazy. As much as, and I promise you, me and you ain't heard of them. Man, a lot of people ain't heard of them. Oxford, Pell City, Pinson Valley, Southside, Springville, and St. Clair County. Okay, Clay Chalkville stays in, which is the second highest classification. And then you go down to that Mobile region again. It's always brutal. Baldwin County, Alberta. Alberta has no chance of winning a game in there. I'm sorry if y'all Alberta fans. I'm not. I don't know anything about Alberta. I just know what you're in. Gulf Shores, Blunt, Murphy, Saraland, Spanish Fort, and Theodore. Now Murphy's hadn't been playing good either. So you might get a win. Alberta and Murphy might battle for last in that region. But man, Theodore, Spanish Fort, Saraland, Gulf Shores.
Oh, that's brutal.
And Blunt.
Brutal.
And here's the other region. I had a lot of people going, what other possibilities could it been for Ben Russell? Well, it would have been Region 4. And a lot of the teams have been in Ben Russell's region are in this region, but they added a couple. Calera, Chelsea, Chilton County, Helena, who Ben Russell's been in the last 2 years, but they're now in there with Homewood, Mountain Brook, Ramsey, and then Pelham. That's that region.
That's the Ben Russell region?
That was what could have been the Ben Russell region.
I got you.
I
So the
read
Ben
the
Russell.
Ben Russell region off of Park Crossing, Percy
Yeah.
Julian, Pike Road, Rehoboth, Russell County, Stanhope, and Wetumpka.
Yeah. Which we know a lot of those teams, and we played a lot of those teams over the years, and so that's
I'm going to say, looking at this, I would say the hardest region in the state may be that one, or the Mobile region, but that region that Ben Russell's in is right behind it on both of those. When you look at the rest of them, I mean, you're in one of the top three tough. I mean, you could say the Hueytown, Hillcrest, Central is tough too. Yes, Justin, Ben Russell has played Rehoboth a couple of times. It was back when Danny was here, and we beat them pretty bad both times. Now, the trip to Rehoboth, if you'll remember, Randy, that was those refs. I know we don't. They did everything they could to keep that game close for a half, and I've never seen Danny Horn matter in my life. It's some stray calls that got you talking about plays that are 60 yards downfield, and all of a sudden this guy behind like 65, 70 yards behind the play just happened to flag fell out of his pocket. He went, oh, we had a holding back here at the 20. Y'all come on back down here. So that was got out of that one with a win, but it was tough. So, hey, we got to get the break for the last segment. We'll keep all this talk going even through the break. Stay tuned. More of the Auburn Blitz coming up right after this. Hey, girl. Good. You all right? Good. You want to wave at Randy real quick, Auburn? You want to wave it?
Hello. How are you?
I don't see your face anymore.
I know it. He's going to have to invite me up there again.
He can't leave that building too long.
That's right. That is the truth.
Like us, it's gonna burn down without him. All right.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Yes. So here's the.
I got the next superstar.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So Brett, here's how this is gonna. If you're a Ben Russell fan, here's the upsetting part of today. You had a really good chance that the private schools don't split for Ben Russell to be one of the largest schools in Class 5A if there were still 7A, 6A, and 5A. We had been right on that line for the last two classification cycles, and looked like we were going under that line for the first time in a while with that cycle. But with the pull-out and the change up, now enrollment numbers don't matter. If it stays like this, like you can grow as much as you want. You can
don't matter.
You can throw in as many numbers as you want because you're nowhere near the 6A class.
The only part I have a problem with in all this, and look, you're not going to convince me otherwise. It's not fair to take the top 32 and just say we're going to have 32 in the top, and then we're going to divide everything up else equal. That's exactly the point you're talking about. You got to do better than that. Like, I think they got so caught up in this private split and all, they forgot to look at the percentage number in each class. Like, look, and I know what you said. You brought a great point saying, well, why did you cut it there? Why did you decide that was the cut? There's never going to be a perfect answer, but I do think you got to look at it and go, well, if there's 20 schools that are 40 students apart, well, they need to be together. And if there's a break of 80 to the next one, well, that's a big difference. And you need to see where there's some pretty definitive lines. Like you and I've gone through there and we've seen, hey, man, that needs to be a cut right there. Or whatever. I'm not saying it happens on every class.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that you should just take, for round numbers, 400 remaining schools, right? And say we're just going to divide them up amongst 5 classifications. We don't care where it falls. Like that to me is not, and they may have looked at it. I'm not saying, but according to what we're seeing today, they just took what was left and divided it up to make each classification have 56 teams. I'm using a round number. I don't know how many. I haven't counted them yet. But they're saying, oh, all the way down, this is how many we're going to have, regardless of what your enrollment is. I don't like that.
Yeah, and, just to close out with the 6A and then the AA class.
Let me count the 6A, 5A teams. You talk. Let me count.
Well, okay, so my point is, I bet they're pretty close in size discrepancy because Auburn and Hoover are 2,300 students in the top 3. They're the 2 largest public schools in the state. And if memory serves me right, you'll get down to around that 1100 number is the bottom half of what is now 6A. So my math served me okay. The number I've heard, I may be off by a little there, is there's 120% difference between the top of that top public school classification and the bottom.
You know how many, you want to guess how many are in the new 5A, which was the old 6A?
How many?
64.
64. And I think that's where it had been for a long time.
Yeah, before the previous 6A.
Wasn't it 64?
58 was what I saw.
No, I'm talking when there wasn't a 7A, wasn't there 64 teams?
Maybe, maybe.
I can't, but
we got 30 seconds. All right. You want some of those? Look. See if I can.
So
you just walk right down there and see if you see all.
But my point is on the AA side, let's just use the same type of numbers that Briarwood, St. Paul's, McGill may be way bigger than that.
I'd like to see the enrollment numbers on that.
I think that they're going to be about maybe worse on the AA private school side from the top half of their largest classification down to the bottom.
5
You
seconds.
agree?
Yeah. Welcome back, everyone. Final segment here on the Auburn Blitz. It's been the Auburn Hat / AHSA reclassification show Blitz today, but we're going to keep this going on the backside. You know, some of you want to hear about what's going on with Auburn. We did the first 2 segments on Auburn. The last 2 have been about the AHSA. Auburn taking on Florida, Randy, tomorrow in Gainesville. It's a 9.5-point spread. Got to be better from outside against this team. Mm-hmm. Can't go down there and hit 2 threes, expect to win. Then you got to hit 12, but you got to hit more than 2, and then you got to attack the rim and see if you can get some of those guys in foul trouble. I don't think you can just line up and try to bully Florida. You don't have the manpower to do that. But if you can go down there and get that game, it's what Kyle and I talked about this morning. If you can get that game, you can keep it competitive to the last 5 to 8 minutes of the game. That's all you can ask. Be within 5-6 points, maybe somehow be in the lead. I don't know, but if you're down, don't be more than 12. Don't be in double-digit range. Keep it manageable, and then get it down that last 5 minutes and see what can happen.
Look, if we stay in this game tomorrow, and if it's even close, to me, it's a win. I don't have a good feeling on it, and I don't think any Auburn fan necessarily should, but we're getting better. We are being developed. The coaching staff can't go out there and shoot from distance for some guys.
No,
normally
the players have to make the shots.
And we're not making shots, and it's hard for me to believe that we won't start making at least twice as many shots from distance as we are right now.
Right.
But even as poor as we're shooting development-wise, we can go down the list of players that are getting way better on the defensive end. We went into that ball game the other night giving up an average of 79 points per game, which has got to be 12 to 14 points per game more than we were at our peak defensively. We give up 66 points the other night. That is that's an out on the road. That is a great job defensively.
Hey, and if Ole Miss don't hit a few prayer threes, it's worse than that.
Yes, late in the ball game. We're winning the rebounding battle pretty much night in and night out. We won it easily the other night. And, we are nowhere near the size of a team that we saw in the past for Auburn. So that's effort. That's effort, and that's coaching, and that's development. And we've got a few players that seem to be finding their role a little more, Brett. And with that being said, I'm thrilled with where we are with Auburn basketball. If we were to get to go 10-8 or 9-9 and make the NCAA tournament,
I think we can.
I do think we can. Am I counting that game tomorrow as the one that I think we're going to win? But I'm with
you steal that one.
But I'm with you and Kyle, man. If you go down there and steal that one, then you got to change your thought process overall with what the ceiling is for this team. And the ceiling for this team has changed a lot in the last 2 weeks.
And, you're a couple of plays away, overtime against Georgia, blowing a 16-point lead to A&M for being in first. I'm not kidding. You're that close to being in first because A&M's 5-1, Florida's 5-1. And, A&M lost in overtime to Tennessee on the road, and Florida lost to Missouri on the road. So it is tough on the road. It is. And so I hope that we don't look back at that A&M game knowing we had it in the bag with 7 minutes to go, and it be the game that could kill you from getting in the tournament. Like, I'm serious. Like, depending on how everything plays out.
We're that close, Brett. You're right.
Right. I mean, 16-point lead at home, you can't lose that game. And I know everybody goes, we didn't lose a game, we got screwed and all that. Well, it should have never come down.
No, I mean, they went through a stretch right there. That stretch that we were up and they made up 11 points in a minute. You can throw any excuse that you want. That was poor play on press break for us and great play for them and knocking down key shots when they needed to get back in the ball game. And I think Auburn's learning a lot as we move on. But the most important thing to me is watching the development. And I'm going to say it until I can't say it anymore. I don't think this coaching staff forgot how to develop players. We've done too great a job
they have not.
over the last decade of developing players.
I do want to say this before we get off for TV. We're going to be on for Saturday Sports Countdown tomorrow. A lot more of this AHSA discussion.
Yeah.
We're going to stay up for a few minutes after we get off for TV here in just a minute to get some of these comments because I see all of them coming in. I want to address them. I know Randy does. Do want to hit a few more regions in the public school side. So if you're watching on TV, you want to flip over to us on YouTube or Facebook. We'll stay up for a little while. Not going to stay up long, but Saturday Sports Countdown tomorrow, we'll be on for 2 hours. And I'm sure the first hour will be completely dominated by this reclassification talk, and we will go through each region too on the Saturday show. But to close out for Auburn, Florida, tomorrow at 3:00 on ESPN. Florida's a 9.5-point favorite, so we'll kind of see how it all plays out with that. But again, Auburn needs to go down and compete. No expectations. Florida's really playing good basketball right now. They are the defending national champs. They're starting to look like it again. So Auburn hadn't won in O'Connell Center in God knows when. So I don't know how. This ain't the time to be expecting them to go on the road and get a win, but it could. I mean, that's why you play the game. You don't play it on paper. So maybe Auburn can find the range from outside and shock everybody, get a big win. All right, that's going to wrap us up here. I did want to thank JR Sports Bar and Grill. Love being here. Great food, great atmosphere. Been partners with us on all our programming forever. So if you're in Alexander City, come check them out anytime. So, all right, we'll see you tomorrow for Saturday Sports Countdown. For Randy Lee, I'm Brett Pritchard saying we've enjoyed it. We'll hope you have to see you next time. All right, so we're out for TV, and so we'll stay up for a little while here. Is she bringing yours? Okay. Derek said this will go down as the biggest blunder in the HSA history. Doesn't help anyone. And Ryan agrees. A lot of the private school, Evan said, the small private schools are screwed over with it. Like, I'm telling you, you knew this was coming. You knew there was, and I've had multiple calls, about whatever. Justin said, what will the championships be called? I think it'll be called Super 8. They're going to get Super 8 Motel to sponsor this thing. I think, can you call it Super 8? Do they have the trademark on that?
Great question.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, it'd be a great opportunity to get a big sponsor. I've always got that thinking, Randy.
Well, you're the only one. If they get it, it's going to be you going to get it. I know that.
So Super 8 could be. I don't know. Ryan said, if I'm Michael McClendon and Rhodey Beck of AISA, I'm calling Lee Scott, Pike Lib, Glenwood, Fort Dale Academy immediately to return.
Well, it's a tough. It's the reason I brought up to Jeff, and the question I have with those programs is you're no longer sitting around worried about whether you're going to stay in 2A, 3A, 4A, whichever one they've been in. Because let's don't kid ourselves. Let's don't kid ourselves. You're playing that numbers game constantly, and maybe those two programs they could decide that they don't want quite as many to move down to that single A class. But I don't know. My point is, if you're going to stay with Briarwood, McGill, St. Paul's, UMS, those type of schools, do you grow your enrollment? You try to get bigger and
do you think they will ever think? And we'll go local here for a second, Randy. for our people around this area. So if you're watching from wherever parts around, we just want to talk about some of these local schools and how they reclassed Dayville down to 2A. I never thought I'd see the day where Dayville was in 2A football, but with all this now, listen to their region. Horseshoe Bend, Lynette, Randolph County, Reeltown, Ranburne, Central Coosa, BB Comer. So Dayville was in that region with Glenwood and Lee Scott.
Good reason. I mean,
it's a very good region as far
as there's 3 really, really good programs in that region, but there's another 4 programs in that region that it just depends on what year you get them. I mean, they can be up and down. So
that one definitely stood out to me. I'm just hopping around. If there's anybody that has a team you want me to talk about or pull up, I'll be glad to do it. 4A, which was the 5A classification, let's just be honest. Couple of regions that are of note. Region 6 is very interesting. Alexandria, Anniston, Central Clay County, Jacksonville, Leeds, Lincoln, Moody, and Sylacauga.
Oh, that's a really good region. That's good teams in a lot of different sports.
Well, a lot of state champions in that region too.
Oh yeah. That's not an easy region.
Region 4 in 4A, which is again the old 5A: Beauregard, Charles Henderson, Elmore County, Greenville, Hopeville, Marbury, Tallahassee, and Valley. I mean,
what you're seeing with this reclassification, especially in the 4A down to 1A classes.
Yeah.
If you've got upwards of 35 to 40, I'm talking football, 35 to 40 private schools that are pulled out. So you're starting to see programs like, say, Tallahassee and Valley, that maybe have been one classification apart.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're together because now you pulled so many of those private schools out. So.
It's like you said, for some the geographic thing improved.
Yeah.
For others, man, I'm just telling you, that private school regions, those are brutal.
Oh, anyone
travel wise, it's really brutal.
Travel's brutal, and I would like to know, and I think Jeff made mention of this, is how many of them made the decision based off of getting out of AISA solely because there's not enough competition out there in the local region for you to not have to travel 3 or 4 hours to go play somebody. And then you make that decision a couple of years ago, like Lee Scott and Glenwood did. And the next thing you know, you're back traveling 3 or 4 hours to find competition. I understood why the larger public schools weren't happy about it. Made a lot of sense why Briarwood wouldn't be happy about it. But heck, the further I get down the line, it's like, why would Lee Scott? Why would Glenwood? Why would they be happy about this split? And not just the one sport where you play in one game a week. Imagine playing 3 games a week in baseball or 3 games a week in softball and traveling all over the place because those region games have got to be played, Brett.
They all have to be played.
You got to be played.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. They just took it and divided it all equal. 1A's got 64 teams, 5A's got 64 teams.
Yeah. It's the way it used to be.
Yeah,
it's the way it always was.
I just got a problem. Look, we all got our own issues. Obviously, there's a boatload of them. I just have a problem with that. Now, you bring up a great point. I don't have an answer for that. There is no definitive answer of why you would cut off where you would cut off. But I just think it's just I don't want to say lazy, but just maybe the easy way to do it.
If it were my choice, I'd do it the way they did it. Now I have to take personal feelings out of me saying that, but it's the easiest way to do it. It's what you just said. It's the easiest way to do it. You're not going to have to go to let's take 2 programs I think that were probably on the border. You're not going to have to go to anyone and say, well, we cut it at 56 teams and it just happens to be that Ben Russell's a 56 team. Or we cut it at 58 teams and it just happens to be that Chelsea's the 58th team there that keeps them there. I mean, why are you making those decisions? Is there a percentage difference between top and bottom that you're looking for? The easiest thing to say is just the way that it was mine in your entire life up
Right.
until the last decade
Now,
is the way that it is now. There, they were the exact same amount of teams that I can remember. We were always in 6A, and there were 64 teams in 6A. It's always that way. And now what they're saying is they've cut that in half down to 32 because there's people like us that were number 60 out of 64 teams with 700 students in the top three playing against 2,400 students in the top three. So they at least cut that. At least you're not doing that, Brett.
a couple of options that we didn't talk about, and Justin, yes, I do remember that. I'll never forget it. Of all teams that went down there that had a chance to win the game, and you couldn't inbound the damn ball. Like, of course, you'd have a team go down there that wasn't supposed to win. It's really got it in their hand. Couldn't inbound the basketball, lost games. That's unbelievable. That summed up Tony Barbie. JJ said some of those private school parent or movers and shakers will be interesting. See how it all pans out. I will say this. There was talk, and it is being kicked around because I got a note here I sent to you about looking at the structure of the 6A playoffs. Okay, so what does that mean? That would mean to me that you would take the top half, and have a playoff bracket, and then you take the bottom half and have a playoff bracket. Now, you and I had been told several weeks ago that this was a discussion amongst all classifications. If you wanted to divide it up equally,
How many games you want to play?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
How big events do you want? You start doing that, like
you would have.
You can't tell.
You'd have 12. You'd have 14 state championships.
You would have to, like, the only thing that would make that fair is if you did that in three classifications. You'd have to do it in 6A, 5A, and 1A because the 6A class is a major discrepancy between the top and the bottom. The 5A class is a major discrepancy between the top and the bottom.
And 1A is too.
And 1A is the worst between the top and the bottom, or at least it has been up to this point. So
I'm sure it still is.
Why would you do? And if you did it the way that you're presenting it there, I mean, hell, you're adding 3 more games to make that right. I can't imagine.
You know what? In the world of NCAA and all that. That's the model. Add more games.
Back to my word, Brett. Appease everybody.
Make more money. Make more money.
Just appease everyone. If you ask for something, oh, sure, let's do that. Here's what I would, because I'm on another text thread that keeps popping up, JJ, and they're saying exactly what you're saying right there. But I'll say this, and if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words here. Now that it's been laid out the way that this is, I don't think during this 2-year cycle you're going to see this pulled back. They're going to probably play this thing out right here for 2 years. Now, is there a lot of private schools that are going to be highly up? Absolutely. And there's public schools that are on the same boat, Brett, because they were hoping, like Ben Russell was, to be the largest 5A team or one of the largest 5A teams in the state, and it didn't play out that way with the split the way that they're doing it. So changed a whole dynamic of, and just forget football. Talk about the other sports. I mean, change the entire dynamic. But, yeah, I think people are going to be complaining constantly. But do I think – Brett, you answer that. You think anything's going to change in the next 2 years other than what we just saw today presented? You think they could change it again?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I don't think that, like Dean Myrick just said, I froze. Am I still there?
I'll read it for you. The AHSA
can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
The AHSA can expect litigation for the unequal treatment of male and female athletes in non-public schools. The legislature has the ability to correct this injustice, stop the absurd penalties for private schools, and have a unified athletic system in Alabama. If this goes down the way that Dean's reading that and the legislature is going to take this over and they're going to be the ones to run all of this, Lord help all of us. just Lord help all of us is what I'll say there. And if it becomes a pissing match, that's
I
what's going to
love
happen.
all the soliloquy and the eloquent talk and the fire and brimstone speech coming
It's political.
coming from politicians all the time, and then when it comes down to the rubber hitting the road, it's a disaster. We're going to stop the injustice of everything, and then you get in there and you blunder it up way worse than it. Can you please stop? And everybody I've talked to today, private, public, talk show host, everybody involved, nobody wants you involved. Can y'all understand that? The voters of Alabama, the guy that drafted the bill, put the brakes on because obviously some people got to him and said, this isn't a real good idea. Y'all got plenty of other problems to fix in the state of Alabama rather than sticking your nose in how the HSAs run. Can you all listen to that for a second, please? That I have not talked to one person, not a single person, that thinks it's a good idea that you get involved. Okay? Now, you may not give a damn what I say, and that's fine.
I haven't either.
I hadn't talked to anybody that thinks it's a great idea for the state of Alabama, the legislature, to get involved and conduct how the AHSA and the High School Athletic Association is run. Because nobody has any confidence that you're going to step in and do it better. Nobody.
I'm in the same boat. Now, are there tough decisions that were made and still need to be made? Sure. But do I trust that the Central
How about
Board
them step up and help something instead of saying, well, I'm just going to take it all over?
I'm just disgusted with politics in general and trying to find ways to work. I'll leave it at this. Anyone, any organization or human that has worked with our state government and certain organizations and our federal government and certain organizations, I think would agree with me on this. They're some of the last people I want to run anything. I have been involved. I've been involved in.
I just was part of the biggest nightmare of my life the last year with a program meet that you led me to. That was a great idea. I think you tried to kill me. You've done a lot of stuff to try to kill me, and you tried to put the nail in the coffin with this thing. But you had great intentions because the program should have been really good.
But it was the worst run program I've ever been involved with, and it was run by the state government. It was a department of the state government. So clean up your own stuff. Clean up the way that things work for you. And I'll leave it at that. I mean, we'll see how this plays out. But it's going to get ugly. JJ's got it, buddy. You were right on. And Dean, man, reading what you put right there, it's about to go.
Always find a way. We find ways in society to ruin good things.
We sure do.
Things are rocking and rolling college football. And we'll end with this. And look, some of you are going to get on here on YouTube. I'm just already prepared. And you're going to have a smart ass comment with, well, I thought this was an Auburn show and y'all talked for half the time on that. Well, I'm sorry. Okay. This was breaking news. We covered it. I get it. So just please move on if that's what you're going to comment. But for everybody else, yes, we spent a majority of time on this because it was a big deal. But again, college football was the best sport in the world until greed engulfed it. And lack of rules and regulations and a governing body that had no teeth came. Basically, we're told it doesn't matter what you rule. We're going to sue you and you're going to lose every time. We have lost all common sense in this world. We take the best things and we find ways to screw them up. And I hate it. I hate it. That's all we talk about.
Well, read this thread right here, and I'll close with that too. I mean, read the thread. There's 4 or 5 things that were brought up that could they make, depending on which side of the aisle that you sit on, could it make it better for you or better? It's kind of like the 64 teams thing. It depends on where you sit. But you've got to come to a mediation on where is best for everyone. And I felt like we had a pretty good product. I really did. Were there things that needed to be administered to maybe a little bit more, like the clusters of players that were showing up in public schools? Yes. I would agree that clean that up and fix that. But we had a pretty good system, Brett, and we had a system that I felt was growing. I mean, there was a reason that the private schools in the state, like the two that are close to us, and Lee Scott and Glenwood, wanted to be part of the HSA. There was a good reason for it.
You're right, Randy. And
Yeah.
you and I talked about this till we're blue in the face. Those teams voluntarily, for travel or not, better
Yeah,
competition.
get the reason.
They
It doesn't
came
matter.
over to the
Yeah.
HSA because they felt like that's the best place for them and their student athletes. And now you change up everything, and they're going, well, we're almost basically back to where we were to begin with.
Yep.
And again, there were issues on both sides, public and private, that nobody was willing to bargain. So this is where you came to. Like, there were certain things the public schools had and private schools had that they refused to budge on either side. So you're in an impasse. So you come up and go, well, here's the only thing we can do here. And this is what you get without the private schools splitting completely out of the HSA and going back to AISA completely. So now in this state, you got a private division of the HSA, and you still have the Alabama Independent School Association, the AISA. You still got the Chambers Academies and those schools that still play over there. And now you got the public schools in classes 6A through 1A. That's where we are.
It's a wild day and age to be a sports fan out there, but we'll be here to talk about it. Tune in tomorrow morning, 7 to 9. Brett said an hour. I bet it goes way over that we'll discuss this. Get your comments in. We'll try to learn a little more, maybe with, where the legislature looks to be moving in. I'll make some phone calls, Brett. You do the same. Potentially we can get a couple of people to jump on that may have a little bit more knowledge with us on StreamYard tomorrow.
Yeah, we already have one guest coming on for sure.
Yeah, so Brett and I'll think about that, but it should be a great show in the morning. So
should be.
Tune in. It's important to us. We love it. We'll hit up Auburn, but
I'm glad I didn't go down for the reclass show, Randy, because it lasted about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was, and I love Chris and I love Ron. But they literally, after the press conference, when it stayed in the room, read off the regions and signed off. And so I was supposed to go down and be on that show, but I would have done it, but I'm glad I didn't, to be honest. We'll have plenty of time tomorrow to talk in depth about everything.
So looking forward to it. Tune in tomorrow morning, 7 to 9.
Yeah, I might be able to get Luke up. He might wake up. He'll probably yawn. He's usually up, but I don't know what he's doing. He never sleeps, so it's not that he's not up. I just don't know what he's doing. So, all right. Well, everybody, hey, thank y'all so much. Again, this is the Auburn Blitz live at JR Sports Bar and Grill. We appreciate them so very much. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please go out there and do that. We'd appreciate it. Hit the like button. All you Facebook watchers, all your YouTube watchers, all of you out there in podcast world, you can get us there now. Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever the heck you want, it's out there. Trust me, I have to do it every single morning, but it's for you. So we appreciate it. Go find us out there. Subscribe on that side as well, and we appreciate it. But, yeah, like we said, tune us in the morning, 7 o'clock, Saturday Sports Countdown. We'll be back with you. For Randy Lee, I'm Brett Pritchard saying we've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.